So welcome back, everyone. We proceed with our next talk by Dr. Kyriacos Hadjiyiannakou on the support activities available to industry through the EuroCC project. Kyriacos, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So in this presentation, I will discuss with you the support opportunities that we provide for industry. So as we know, in an advanced society, there are several institutions which should work together in order to provide prosperity within the citizens. Now we have on one hand the academic institutions, which their role is twofold. They contribute to education, and through research, they also contribute to the knowledge production. And on the other hand, we have the industry, that they hire the talented graduate people from academia, and they use the knowledge that has produced in order to build innovative products. And like this, the whole society benefits from that. But we have also the government organization. We have the government. After the government, we have several ministries, and several departments. We have also hospital. That their role is to support also these institutions, but also the other way around, that academic and industry should support government in order to adapt to this new era of digitalization. So as Cyprus Institute, now we try to bring together all of those institutions under the umbrella of advanced computing, or what we call high performance computing, HPC, and also to help them to adapt to new ideas, new kind of algorithms, like machine learning algorithms. And this is our end goal in a nutshell. Okay, then when we started, we created a survey, which we have sent to industry to get a better idea about their needs in order to adjust our program to their needs. So first of all, I would like to say that we have responses from different fields of companies that they participated. For instance, we had from consulting services. We had also from finance sector, pharmaceutical companies. And it was interesting to see how urgent was for them to use HPC resources in the near future. For instance, 50% of the companies said that they needed now or within 6 months, another 25% within a year, and then another 25% somewhere between 1 to 2 years, or they don't know when they will require it. Okay, something else that is important for us to understand how we can support is about the software that the companies are using. So we have these 3 categories. If the softwares are internally developed, if they are open source or proprietary. And this information is important for us because if we can have a look to the source code, can provide much more support compared if the software is closed and we cannot easily inspect it. Okay, now what type of services industrial organizations need? It seems that they use a lot cloud computing or cloud storage. This is due to the fact that small companies usually cannot afford to buy such infrastructure or pay personnel with the expertise to maintain such machines. They also need data storage, and they do some data analytics. But we can see that there is also need for accessing HPC cluster. This is important for us to know. And they would like to have some training this is something that we provided. I will say a few more things later. About support for software development. This is also something that we support. About processing data. Okay, now this question is a bit different. So if we provide training in the following fields, how this will increase your consumption in computational resources. For instance, we have this kind of field, new computational method, where there was some interest, but there was a big interest in big data analytics technique, which is something that we would like to cover. About the software package, some training in the software packages that the companies are using. And they want to also learn more about the machine learning methods. This is something that we also have in our list, the training. About parallel computing, of course, is something that we are specialized. And there are companies that are also interested to port their codes to the GPUs. We have also this kind of expertise, and it's in our training events. And about optimizing codes and to make them scalable. Okay, something else which is very interesting for us to understand the companies, how much they have used the HPC. So it means that what is the biggest computer that they have used in the past. So there is a small portion that they have used a relatively large cluster with more than 20 nodes. There is also 25% that they have used a medium-sized cluster of about 20 nodes, and the rest they use smaller resources like a small one or workshops or even personal computers. Now, another thing that we would like to learn is about their monthly storage requirements. So how much data they produce and that need analysis. And we have here 4 categories of data. We have images, videos, text, or other kind of structured data. And from this, we get an idea that the companies are producing, let's say, something between 10 to 100 gigabyte of data monthly. And of course, as this accumulates through time, and depending if you want to have them for a long term, you may need a lot of storage. That is something that we provide, and the company should think about it. Okay, now I move to the next part of my presentation, where I will start put it here, the details about the services that we provide as a national competence center to companies. So the first one that we provide is consulting. And for the specific areas that I mentioned, for HPC and machine learning, so we have a high-level support team that is has expertise about these fields. And first, we would like to have, if it's necessary, an agreement. But as I say, this is not necessary between our center and our company in order to be able to have access to the software. And it is important for us if the code we can have access to the source code because there is also the category, as I mentioned, that companies buy the software and the code is not open, so we can not do as much as if the code is open. So then we perform a battery of tests in order to see if there are bottlenecks in the implementation of the software. Okay, and then we come with suggestions how this can be improved. Of course, this depends on the needs of the company, which direction they want to improve. And also we inspect what kind of algorithms they have used and how the code structure, because if we can understand it, we can figure out if there is a possibility to use parallelization. And this depends usually on the problem. So if it allows it, we can suggest different parallelization strategies, and this will allow to speed up the software and of course scale up the software to be able to run it in more than one node. And the other thing that we discuss is based on the needs of the software to decide which architecture it's more suitable to the needs of the software of the company. So for instance, on the HPC, there are central processing units, CPUs, that come with many cores that one can use them to accelerate calculation. But there are also other kind of architectures like the graphic processing units or the GPUs that are massively parallel computing units that if the codes allowed it, if the problem allowed it to be more correct, we can make a lot of use of this kind of architecture, which now it is in most supercomputer in the world. Okay, another thing is that if a software has a specific nature that can allow us to combine also the power of machine learning in order to improve the predictability of a software, this is something that we can investigate and suggest to the people of the company. Now, for the case that someone has a large amount of data that they need to be processed simultaneously, and there are limitations of the memory that a node has, we can also examine the possibility to use distributed computing, in the sense that this allows you to access a much more memory. If the more nodes a supercomputer has, the more memory you can access, and of course, at the same time, you use more computing units. Okay, and I would like to share with you an example of a success story that we have with a company about our consulting services. So Numisma, which is a consulting company, approached us, and this company is doing some wealth management, some fund management. They provide advisory services for investor firms. So this company, it had a software which they have developed internally, and it was capable of providing predictions for the liability of insurance policies. And the issue that they face is that this was becoming very slow. To run it was taking 3 hours on a personal computer, and this was not acceptable for the company. So they wanted to see if they can speed it up. So after we have inspected the code, it was possible to identify the core of the calculation, which part was taking more time. Okay, and we have rewritten that part in a lower level language, which it was much faster. And we have also enabled multi-threading features in that software. And we allow us open the possibility that when the company has more and more data to analyze, to move the support to NGPU to accelerate it more. And what we achieved is that from the threads that it was taking, it could run now 15 minutes. And this was made the company very happy. And of course, this increased their competitiveness. Now, about other services that we provide, this has already been discussed before. So we provide training for both advanced computing and for machine learning, and this is for free. So we organize events in order to improve the awareness in Cyprus about this field, and those are free of charge. And we have introduced 3 levels in order to be able to support users with different levels of experience. So the first event took place middle of February, and it was very successful. So about 50 people have participated in this event, and we have recorded it. And I also give the link for those who are interested to see the events that are uploaded to YouTube. And in the near future, we'll have 2 additional events. And the one will be taking place in April. And the other one, which will be more specialized for industry, discussing specific software and also how to port codes to GPU. It will take place end of June, and be posted when we will have a full program for those training events. And of course, something which is important for us is that we would like to hear from you what kind of training we can provide in order to support you better. Okay, so this feedback is important for us. Okay, another kind of services that we provide is that we will have internship programs where you can send someone from your group that work together with us to develop software, for instance, that it's for interest for you. Okay, and I will say a few more things about this because it's important. So the first step is that the industry express their interest to work on a project with us. So we have a Google form here that I will say more things a bit later, how you can fill it. And then when this comes to us, we may discuss further this project or see what other is for interest for the company. And then we can sign agreement if it's necessary between our institute and the other organization. And of course, the industrial partner needs to suggest which people are the more capable of this kind of probe. Okay, and from our side, we provide financial support to them for this development. And of course, this will be open until our budget is exhausted. And the participants to this internship program are co-located because probably will be also a place of the company, and will be co-located also to the Cyprus Institute. And usually the duration of this kind of programs are between 3 to 6 months, and this may vary depending how complicated is the project. Okay, and then the participants when I start working on this project are assisted by the members of our high-level support team, and through this this program, they gain, of course, access to our HPC resources in order to be able to work and complete the project. But they gain also through this project experience of how to use HPC, machine learning, in order to have this experience also within the companies. Okay, now I would like to go step by step through the form that we have in order to get an idea how easy is to complete. So first of all, we ask for an email address in order that we know your contact details, the name of the company or the organization who will be, for instance, the leader of the project that company is interested for, and of course a list of their staff members that they want to engage to the program. And it is preferable that those people have some computational background that it can help with a project. And then, of course, a description of the project. For instance, what is the project about? What are the goals? Okay, if they have any estimate about the computational requirements, about the size of the data. Of course, if they use algorithms, what kind of algorithms they use, and of course the languages that they use in the project. And if they have more information that they want to share with us about the technical aspects of the project, they can write them here. For instance, if they have some license restriction and these kind of things. And as I said, we provide financial support to people who will be involved in this program, and this depends on the qualification, if you have master or not. And the last field is to specify what kind of support this will need. If you need some financial support through this program, I mean the internship program, if you need consulting or training or whatever kind of support you want to share with us. Okay, the other service that we provide is, as we say, can get access to HPC resources. And I show here an example of a machine that we have, the Cyprus Institute, which is, as also the other had described, is called Cyclone, which has is the fastest in Cyprus with 600 teraflops in double precision. And this machine comes with two partitions, let's say. There is one partition that the nodes are only equipped with CPUs, that CPUs have 40 cores each. And there is also the GPU partition that besides the 40 CPU core, it has also 4 GPUs, okay? And this allows, depending on the needs of your company, to choose which one. If your software does support GPU, you may go with the GPU partition. Now, a few more things about the GPUs. So the GPUs are specialized for HPC, are from Tesla family, and they are the Volta architecture, and each car has 32 gigabytes of memory. So if we have 4 GPUs, this gives us 120 gigabytes of memory per node. Okay, and those cards are, I mean, NVIDIA has introduced what they call tensor core, which are ideal and optimized for machine learning applications for those who are interested. And if you have a large data set that this one node is not enough, of course, we can support distributed computing in order to utilize more nodes. About storage, we have 135 terabyte of non-volatile memory. It's supposed to be mostly temporary storage. We have also a lot of storage for permanent use, 3.2 petabyte, that this can be given in a low cost. And for cases that you are interested about distributed computing, so to that you need more than one node simultaneously to work on your problem. So this needs communication usually between the nodes on a supercomputing, and our machines provide a high bandwidth communication between nodes. Okay, and the last, we have the service that we can do co-development on a project that you are interested. Of course, we talk a lot on advanced computing and machine learning algorithms. So we identify projects that is for interest with you. And because this service is not for free, this good is that we can have some collaboration agreement that are signed between our institute and your organization, where we may need to specify the scope of work, the duration of the project, and how much it will be the cost. And in the case that your company has personnel who has some computational background, they can take advantage of the internship program I mentioned before. So we can support even further the project. And next, members from our high-level support team are identified that better meet the requirements of the project to devote some personal months on the co-development of this project. And I would like to share with you a case that we have with a company that we are doing a co-development project. So Offshore Monitoring is a company which is working in the maritime sector to improve the efficiency of ships. So we are co-developing a software in order to reduce the fuel consumption, because this is a significant cost for this sector. And the basis of this code was CPU. Okay, so it was written for CPU, and when one has to optimize the journey for a very long distances, this was a very time-consuming process to run. So we're working in order to have a GPU implementation of the core of this software. I mean, the most computational intensive part. I mean, this is an ongoing work, and up to now we see if we port to GPU about 100 times speeder in their software. Okay, now I would like to finish with an overview of the services that we provide. And of course, we will need always your feedback in order to improve the services that I mentioned. As I said, the pure consulting is for free, so I encourage companies to make use of it in order to improve their software. And we have an internship program, as I said, which up to now we have a budget. This is something that can also be used. About the training events, please give us your feedback in order to enrich them and make them more suitable for your needs. And as also Christos said, you can have access to Cyclone through the preparatory access. And in the future, when you become more and more familiar with HPC, we will have a dedicated machine for industrial applications. And of course, we are open for co-development that I think this you're finding also a very important service. So I would like to thank you for your attention, and I would like to hear from you if you have questions or if you have suggestions, feedback to give us about our training or other services that we provide.
Thank you, Kyriakos. If there's any questions for Kyriakos, please raise your hands. Which I don't see any. So that means that Kyriakos was very detailed, and indeed he was. So thank you for this, Kyriakos.